council meeting Monday, September 17th, 2018 to order. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Alderman Putoff.
Here.
Ferrari.
Here.
Waldorf.
Here.
Lukosius.
Here.
Radke.
Here.
Sapienza.
Here.
Payton. Ballard. Mayor Hall.
All rise for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, any public comment cards?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, we have a presentation by Seth Brannon of the Recreation Committee.
Good evening, guys. I just passed out a little flyer that I made up. One side has just a little summary of the different camps we had. We had 33 different camps this summer. It gives you a number of participants in each camp. If you notice, some of those camps have sign-up limits. That is due to limited space or resources available for that specific camp. Some of them do not have limits. Some of them have 2 different sessions, just based on what we've seen in the past. Pretty good numbers overall, very few. I only see 3 camps that were below 10 for participants. We had 578 total sign-ups, which I thought was pretty good. 350 different kids, and I can tell you we had that many kids because that's how many shirts I passed out. I passed out over 350 shirts, and each kid only gets 1 shirt throughout the summer. So there's a couple pictures there. The top right picture is the girls' basketball camp, the younger kids, I believe, and then the bottom left picture, that is from the movie in the park night. We had a art display from the 3 art camps that Julie Jenkins put on, as well as a cheerleading performance that night that went on before the movie started. You can see the people are wearing long sleeves there. We had a little scare. We had a little rain shower pop up out of nowhere right before the movie started. So we hurried up and pulled everything off the tables real quick and reset up just before dark. We were still able to host it. So pretty good turnout, honestly, for the weather that night. I was very pleased. We had 40-some girls there cheering, and we had 3 different art camps that came to display their stuff. So we had parents and grandparents from all that too, plus the Boy Scouts did concessions. So that was a great night. On the back side, oh, by the way, these other 2 little pictures with the sun, that's what the summer camp shirts look like. So if you see any kids walking around town wearing the red shirts, that's the logo that we used this year. On the back side, this is our summer-long programs, arts and crafts, tennis, fitness in the park, and the swimming program. There's 2 different pictures there in the arts and crafts that the kids made this summer. It was a 4-week-long program. We met 2 hours a day, Monday through Thursday. And during that time, we had 328 participant completed crafts. So you figured, that's almost 10 crafts completed per hour. So that's pretty impressive. We eliminated Fridays this last year because Fridays just were not as productive, and the 9 to 10 o'clock hour was not near as productive. So we shortened it up, and we had a real good estimation of completed crafts this year because the instructor, every time she completed one, did a tally mark, and we calculated the funds at the end, and everything was spot on this year. So I got a really solid number on that, so I'm happy about that this year. Fitness in the park, that picture there is of our yoga director teaching a yoga class. This was kind of geared to get some adults and kids involved together in the park. It was more of an evening type activity. We met 10 times throughout the summer. To be honest with you, it started off really slow. We were only getting 3, 5, 7 people attending. Then towards the end of the year, it seemed like yoga was the preferred one that the community liked. And as you can see there, we got plenty of people attending that night. So maybe tweak that a little bit next year. Yoga was definitely preferred over some of the other higher intensity activities. Tennis, we've had tennis in Peru for a long time. We had 35 different kids competing in a 6-week program. They again met Monday through Thursday, just like arts and crafts did. Midway through the season, we had a play day with LaSalle Tennis, where the kids all got to show up in our nice red shirts and go over there, and we actually, sounds like we kicked butt over in LaSalle, so that was cool. And then at the end of the season, they had a tournament, and the kids were handed ribbons and trophies, ribbons if they participated, and then the top 3 from both the girls and the boys in the intermediate class obtained little trophies. And then the swimming, that was new again this year. We talked about that at the beginning of the summer. Mike helped out a lot, big time with that, getting things going. And those involved with the YMCA helped off a lot. I know there was a couple people in this room that really stepped up, really appreciate it. About 20 kids took advantage of receiving free swimming lessons, so that was really cool to see. It was a great summer. I've already talked to a couple instructors. We got big plans again for next year, and looking forward to starting all over again now. Any questions? I'll touch on the splash pad real quick while I'm up here too. The splash pad went great this year. We had an awesome response from the community. You would not believe how many people came up to me and said, you know, I was doubtful of the splash pad, but after coming here, my kids, they love it. They want to come all the time. And when it was above 85 degrees, you know, we'd have 200 people there at any given time. It was just awesome. Looking forward to starting that up again next year too. We had good employees this year. Thought it went really well for our first year. A lot of outside community members, people coming down from Mendota, people even coming from the suburbs or from Princeton, Bloomington people coming up and saying, wow, this is the greatest splash pad we've ever been to. So, excellent job on that.
Thank you, Seth.
For next year, anything new coming up?
In regards to,
For a new program?
oh, we'll be talking about it. Nothing,
Nothing you want to say, right?
not yet. We'll post it come April.
Thanks, Jeff. Okay, do I have a motion to receive the minutes and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion approved. Do I have a motion to receive the financial reports and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to receive the financial reports and place on file. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. Do I have a motion to receive the activity reports and place on file?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second, Your Honor.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. We'll move on to committee. Finance Safety Services, Chairman Putoff.
I move to have Alderman Radke read the disbursements tonight.
Yes, Your Honor. Total disbursements, or first thing on the agenda is disbursements to be paid on September 19th, 2018. The total of $2,449,174.70. I move that this report be received, placed on file, the bills paid in the usual manner.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
I have a motion and a second to receive the disbursements, place on file, and pay the bills in the usual manner. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call. Clerk call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Lukosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved. Anything further from finance?
That's all we have on the agenda tonight, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. We have public services, Chairman Waldorf.
Yes, Your Honor. First on the agenda is a motion to authorize the purchase of a brush chipper machine from Vermeer Midwest in the amount of $69,195. Chief King, could you give us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, basically what we're doing with this is we're going to be trading in electric's chipper, which is relatively the same age as ours. Ours is 2000. We're going to be trading theirs in. It's a lot smaller machine. We're going to give them our chipper from Public Works, and then we'll take the new chipper in Public Works. They'll give us two pretty good-sized chippers to handle everything we do. With electric, they needed a bigger chipper because they're out clearing lines all the time now, and they're just, that little chipper wasn't keeping up. They're having to use our chipper to get things done. So it just makes sense to trade theirs in, give them our bigger chipper, then we're getting a bigger chipper than we had. So they're trading in the electric chipper. We're getting, I believe it was $5,500 in the trade-in on that. So,
Get a little bit back from that.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to authorize purchase of brush chipper from Vermeer Midwest in the amount of $69,195. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call. Clerk call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Lukosius. Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Motion approved.
Next, Your Honor, we have two motions to approve engineering services agreement with Chamlin and Associates, one for North Peoria Street STU project, and one for the Unitite Drive Extension project. Eric, could you update us, please?
Yes, the North Peoria STU project's a project that comes up approximately every 5 years. We use our federal pass-through money, the STU money, This next round, we're going to supplement that with MFT funds as well as some general funds to reconstruct North Peoria and add the third lane. That engineering service agreement is a percentage-based agreement, so it doesn't necessarily have a not-to-exceed lump sum number. The percentages are set by the state, so that's how that one is set up. And the Unitite Drive extension project, if you remember, good majority of the engineering we completed as part of our due diligence work or development work with Northern White Sand and Omnitrax as well when EOG was looking in the area. We had looked at that whole corridor and designed a good portion of it. So this engineering service agreement is set up as a T&M agreement, and there's minimal amount of work to finish out the design phase of that project. And then the two portions of these agreements that aren't included are construction phase, which will be advertising for qualification-based selection for statements of interest from consulting firms. So there is money available for each of them through the grant funding that can supplement those engineering costs. However, we do have to follow the proper procurement procedures.
Very good, thank you.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to receive both the motions for the service agreements for North Peoria Street and Unitite Drive extension. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call, quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton.
Aye.
Ballard.
Motion approved.
Next, Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the low quote from UUSCO for 11,200 feet of 2-inch Schedule 40 PVC pipe in the amount of $7,392. And this is for, to be used as conduit and basically to replenish inventory in the electric department.
Have a motion and a second to approve the low quote from USCO for 2-inch PVC pipe, $7,392.00. Is there any discussion? Have a roll call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza. Payton. Ballard.
Motion approved.
Next, Your Honor, I'll make a motion to award the Main Street Water Main Improvements Project to the lowest responsible bidder, Ski Seal Coating and Maintenance Incorporated, in the amount of $159,888.55. They are the low bidder, and it looks to be by at least $10,000 or $11,000.
Do we have a second?
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second for the Main Street Water Improvement for Ski Seal Coating and Maintenance in the amount of $159,888.55. How many turned in bids?
We had 3 bids for this project, and I would just like to make a special note on the bid tabulation sheets that everybody has. The bottom of the ski, you'll see highlighted in yellow. On the date of the bid opening, there was an as-read number of $155,388.55. There was a calculation error that was found in their bid, so that's why the difference between the two. Well, they're still the low. They're still the apparent low, yes.
Okay, is there any questions? Have a roll call, quick call roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari.
Aye.
Waldorf.
Aye.
Prokosius.
Aye.
Radke.
Aye.
Sapienza.
Aye.
Payton. Ballard.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, I'd like to make a motion to award the demolition of the former CVS building to the lowest responsible bidder, John Pohar and Sons Incorporated, in the amount of $219,512. I understand that this includes asbestos abatement,
That's correct.
so this is a very good bid for that project. Eric, you want anything else?
Yeah, we had three plan holders for this one. We did only receive 1 bid, and as you can see, we worked pretty closely with the asbestos abatement group in generating a study, and our estimate internally was $275,000. So for a single bidder, we do have a very good price.
I'll second that, Your Honor.
Have a motion and a second to award to John Pohar and Sons in the amount of $219,512 the demolition of the CVS building. Is there any discussion?
This going to be a winter project, Eric? Is that when?
Potentially. I'm working with the contractor now. There's only one remaining utility that needs to be disconnected. It's gas service. Speaking with Ameren, it sounds like that's anticipated for sometime this week or early half of next week. The contract's going to be written such that they don't have to finish until a certain date in February. That gives them the ability to be flexible with the demo. However, talking to John Polar and Sons, it sounds like it's something they can do relatively quick. So depending on workload, they may get in there sooner than later.
Okay, is there any further questions? Then we'll call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Waldorf. Lukosius. Radke. Sapienza. Payton. Ballard.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, I have a motion to approve proposal from Stewart Spreading for Peru biosolids in an amount not to exceed $70,000. This is a yearly project. Donnie, would you enlighten us, please?
Basically, this is, for, hauling our biosolids off to the farmer's field and injecting them. It's 9 cents a gallon this year.
Who is Stewart Spreading, or?
They're from Sheridan. They basically do all the spreading in the northern Illinois area. There really isn't a whole lot of other people. I think Agtech is the only other one.
So they're reputable EAP,
They've been doing it.
PA
We have to be licensed to do this type of work, and so there's.
Where are they spreading this?
Luke Holly's farm out at Big Beach.
The stuff that grows overnight.
Yeah.
There we go. All right.
Real tall.
Okay, I have a motion by Alderman Waldorf. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a second. Is there any further discussion? Then we'll have a roll call. Call the roll.
Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Waldorf. Lukosius. Radke. Sapienza. Payton. Ballard.
Motion approved.
Your Honor, I'd like to discuss and recommend proposals for the redevelopment of 1839 through 1841 May Road.
I think Herb is going to participate in this conversation.
As you're aware, the city previously sought proposals for the redevelopment of this property. I'm happy to report we received a proposal from Cantrell Morgan, which you all have a copy of. They're going to do this project actually as Sidled Fee or Phi LLC, develop an 88-room Hilton True Hotel. We've all talked about previously the redevelopment agreement that would accompany that, and the city is going to convey that land to them in exchange for them making this investment in the community and developing the hotel. There's also provision in the agreement that if they ultimately acquire 1837 May Road next to that, that would become part of this agreement. John Brandt's here. He represents the developer locally. Bob Vickery's here. He's worked a lot on this project. You all have the proposal in front of you. I think for tonight we would need to do a motion to accept their proposal in response to the request for proposal that the city sought, and then we have an ordinance for your consideration approving the agreement.
Okay, do we have a second?
There would be a motion and a second to accept the proposal of Sidled Fee LLC.
So moved. So moved, Your Honor.
Second.
Well, I had a motion from Alderman Waldorf and a second from Alderman Putoff. So we'll have a roll call vote.
Yes, Your Honor. Alderman Putoff.
Aye.
Ferrari. Waldorf. Lukosius. Radke. Sapienza. Payton. Ballard.
Motion approved.
No, and secondly, we would approve by ordinance the proposed sale and redevelopment agreement by and between the City of Peru and Sidled Fee LLC, which ordinance authorizes the mayor and the clerk to execute any and all documents necessary to approve the agreement once they've accepted it, and also to convey the real estate that's owned by the city to them in exchange for the agreement and $100 payment.
Discuss and recommend consideration of sales and redevelopment agreement for property located within the Northern Commercial TIF District at 1839 through 1841.
So we're gonna motion to, we'll just motion and second on all in favor on that one, and then we'll act on the ordinance below. the ordinance is actually listed in the ordinance, so there's that was more of a discuss and recommend, and then we'll move to the ordinance next, so, Your
Okay,
Honor,
so
I
do
guess
we
just
have
a
a motion?
motion and a second to recommend it.
Alderman Putoff? Alderman Radke? Okay, is there any further discussion on that?
I think we're probably gonna discuss this in a little more length, but it's something that I know the mayor and economic development director have worked on for a long time. And this certainly is, I think, part one of some real major economic development in the north area of Peru. The brand that they do have is a Hilton-based brand, and they're putting in a relatively new trademark True Hotel. And it should be very exciting.
I think the first time we spoke with these people was 4 years ago. And it's been a long haul, and now everything is supposed to be done yesterday.
Yeah.
But
Well,
anyway,
you know,
it's a great thing for the city.
Sometimes these agreements do take a while. A lot of credit goes to a lot of people being persistent on this and bringing it through. Anytime you're gonna get this type of investment in your community and the economic environment we're operating in, it's a good thing, I think. And that's been a blighted area for a long time.
Yeah, I think it's been a long time that, and the city was very aggressive in acquiring the property a few years ago.
Yeah.
I believe we acquired this property for the back taxes. Now, where's Doug at? Maybe 5 years ago. And,
Bill King's in now, the property.
yeah, the development here has been a long time coming.
Well, it's a good thing. It's a very good thing for the city.
And this all started with the contact at our booth at ICSC, Chicago ICSC, 2014, so.
That was about that big, that was a showcase hotel.
Oh, you bet, yeah,
With
bet it was.
people in the banquet room, so maybe we'll get back to that.
Okay, so all in favor of this, discuss, recommend consideration of sale? Signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. So we go,
Finally, Your Honor, that is all from Public Services.
Did you do the ordinance, or are you doing that next now?
yeah, we're gonna go into that, report city attorney ordinances resolution, so now,
So, you have, the proposal which you've recommended approval. We have a, ordinance approving the sales and redevelopment agreement, which, authorizes the city to offer a, TIF reimbursement and also a business development district tax reimbursement to the developer. In exchange, they're going to develop invest $12 million approximately and build an 88-room Hilton True Hotel. If they acquire neighboring property or adjoining property, that would become part of this agreement. We've reviewed it and discussed it at various committee meetings. The ordinance authorizes the mayor and the city clerk to execute and approve the agreement. So, if anyone wants to go through the agreement, we can. Or have any questions about it?
I think you want to point out too, Herb, is that the incentives will be based on TIF funds.
Yeah, the incentives are based on, dollars that they generate. So as they improve the property, there'll be an increased real estate tax because there'll be an increased assessed value. So they would be eligible for a reimbursement as they pay those taxes for their TIF eligible costs. And then the other thing is the city, at their request, would put that property in a business development district, which would generate an extra 1% hotel motel sales tax that can be used as an additional incentive to them to reimburse them for their eligible costs. So you're not advancing money to them, you're not outlaying money to them. You are conveying the property, which will improve a blighted area, create employment, create a lot of construction jobs, create hotel motel tax that the city gets their 5% share, which isn't being shared in sales tax.
As well as sales tax that accompanies that too. And I think it's important for the taxpayers to understand that the incentives the city are giving are not incentives that we currently have on hand. Those are all in agreements with the TIF funds, so they're generated by that development in itself. So there's no handout per se. Yeah, so per se, there's no handout in this agreement.
If they perform, they get an incentive. If they don't perform, they get no incentive. That's essentially what happens.
That's correct. And that's why we put that property in the TIF district several years ago, because look at it. And hopefully this will continue to spur other development and renewal of that area, which at one time was the center place of the area.
I think we talked about the Hy-V, what we call the Hy-V TIF as being very productive TIF over its lifetime, and I think this is exactly the same thing. I think this particular property is exactly what the TIF Act was intended to redevelop, in my opinion.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve this ordinance as written in. Second, Alderman Payton. Okay, is there any further discussion? Then we'll have a roll call. Quick call the roll.
Alderman Croft.
Aye.
Ferrari. Aye. Waldorf. Lukosius. Radke. Sapienza. Payton. Ballard.
Motion approved. Okay. Now, before we do this next one, I'm gonna skip over, we have it under new business. So we have a letter to Mayor Scott Hall, member of the City Council from Douglas O. Bederstead, subject resignation, date 8/31/18. After days and months of hard soul searching, I have made the tough decision to step down as chairman of the Peru Zoning Board of Appeals, Peru Plan Commission, as well as a sitting member of both commissions. Serving the city either on the Plan Commission or Zoning Board for over 50 years is a time to say goodbye. We have come a long way from our first meeting with Carl Gardner and Associates, in parentheses, professional land planners in the late 60s. In the old meeting room, which is now the police chief's office, to the Mirror Building, and currently at our new City Hall. We have witnessed tremendous growth to the north, with water and sewer being extended up to and under Interstate 80, which some residents thought was a bad idea. Our Peru Mall was established with the commercial growth occurring around it, and further growth north of I-80 with the new Holiday Inn. The location is seeing more commercial development, residential development spurred for a while, and more planning of residential lots for new homes is needed. It was a pleasure to serve on multiple committees and commissions for my beloved city of Peru for over half a century. Douglas O. Bederstead. So, with regret, I'll ask for a motion to accept this letter and place on file.
Second.
That was Alderman Radke and Alderman Pennell. Okay, so with that, what we're going to do, because I asked Doug to come tonight. He didn't want to. He felt it would be a little bit difficult for him. 50 years doing anything's a long time. So we do have a resolution that I'm going to read now, a resolution honoring Douglas O. Bederstead for over half a century of service to the city of Peru and our community. Hold on. Okay. Whereas Douglas O. Bederstead has served as a member of and past chairman of the City of Peru Planning Zoning Commission for over half a century. And whereas Doug has also served Peru Township for over 30 years as an assessor and now the supervisor. Whereas Doug has further served the community as a board member and our officer of Peru Public School District, the City Downtown Redevelopment Commission, the Private Industry Council, the Illinois Valley YMCA, the LaSalle Peru JCs, the Peru Lions Club, Peru Rotary, Horizon House, Peru CSO, the LaSalle Peru Elks, the Red Cross, Peru Design and Review Committee, Housing Authority of LaSalle County, and Illinois Valley Sunrise Rotary. This is kind of interesting here, whereas Doug has served over 200 years on 18 different city and community service organizations. So Doug did put down on his letter that it was a resignation, but I'd like to say that it's a retirement and well deserved. That's quite a list that he put together.
Yeah, I think, Your Honor, a very nice letter, and I think a lot of people don't see the commitment and efforts of those people who are on planning commissions, on the zoning board of appeals, and those things that are very valuable for the city. And I think certainly he's been a valuable public servant for the city and been involved, and certainly deserves a lot of credit for the economic development of our city. So like many of those others, again, I wanted to thank him for his efforts and wish him well in retirement.
One thing I'd like to add on Doug on a personal note, when my grandfather started to get into failing health, Doug really looked out for me. I used to get calls from Doug during the day. You know what your grandfather's up to? You got to take care of this, and that really meant a lot to me, as much as anything else. that Doug did on that list. So it's not just a service to the community, but Doug really was a really personable individual, really cared a lot about individuals, and I think that should be recognized also.
So, I'll ask for a motion to receive the letter and place on file.
So moved, Your Honor.
A second. I have a motion, a second, to receive the letter of resignation and place on file. Is there any further discussion? All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carried. And then I'm asking for a motion to receive the resolution as written and read and place on file honoring Douglas O. Peterson for over half a century of service to the city of Peru.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, is there anything further? We'll have a roll call, clerk call the roll.
Alderman Paul. Aye. Fuller. Mulder.
Aye.
Prokosius. Radke. Sapienza. Peyton. Ballard.
Motion approved. Okay, with that, I'll announce so the press can put it in, and we'll be looking, that creates a void in the Planning Zoning Commission, and by ordinance, the mayor selects the chairman of the Planning Zoning with the consent of the council. So I've already asked the Planning Zoning if any of the current members, the 6 that are there right now, it's a 7-person committee total, if any of them are interested in moving from a committee member to the chairman. So we'll see where that goes, and then we still have a void of 1 person. So if anybody knows anybody that may be interested in serving on a commission, let us know, and hopefully we hear from quite a few people. So we'll see what happens. But thanks again to Doug. You know, he did a lot. So. Okay. Proclamations, we have none. Unfinished business, we have none. Petitions, communications.
Yes, Your Honor. First one is from Illinois Valley Rotters requesting permission to hold their annual car show at Centennial Park on Sunday, August 19th, 2019.
You have a motion to receive communication, place on file, and grant permission? Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Next communication from Kelly Williams, IVCH Director of Rehabilitation Services Center for Physical Rehabilitation and Aquatics, requesting permission to hold their annual 5K run walk on October 13th.
Motion to have the permission granted.
I'll second.
I have a motion, and a second, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
I'll note chalk only on the roads for them. Communication from George Steinbach of the Rights by Supper Club requesting permission to close Pike Street from Route 6 to 3rd Street for the annual Oktoberfest on Sunday, September 23rd.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Next communication is from St. Joseph's Catholic Church requesting permission to hold carriage rides in the city of Peru on Monday, October 8th. It looks like a route that goes, I'll pass that down, around 5th and 6th Street. West on 5th, north on Calhoun, east on 7th, south on Fulton, west on 6th through school exit, back on 5th. Otter Creek carriages, insured, they're from Streeter, and that's on Monday, October 8th, which is Columbus Day.
This is the race route.
Oh, that's the race route. This is the route that I just gave, the route that I just gave you was the altar and rosary. Sorry.
The horse route.
All right.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second to receive the...
They will clean up any horse dropping. They were pretty adamant about that. We'll take care of it. They're gonna stay out, they don't stay out Route 6 or any busy street. Yeah, pretty nice little, event.
That's interesting. This is the first time we've had one of these since I've been around, I know.
Who do we have on the motions on that?
We have a motion from Alderman Payton, we have a second from Alderman Sapienza. Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
All opposed? Motion carried.
Next, we have a communication from Allison Appel of Crossbridge Community Church requesting permission to place a macro pantry in front of 1725 4th Street.
What is that?
I don't
Okay,
know.
we're gonna,
Yeah, that'll
We-
have to go before zoning as well as the state of Illinois for any permitting within Route 6. I'm not positive.
She's saying that there's one at the Grove Center in LaSalle.
It's just a small food pantry where people can pick up food and drop off.
I'm not 100% positive. I don't know if their proposal is to include it within the inside of the building, or if this is something that's outside of the building.
She said, we're looking to put the micro pantry in front of our Peru campus. Since the sidewalk is city property, I'm assuming we will need permission to place it there.
Yeah, we'll have to send them through the state of Illinois because that will be within the state right-of-way of Route 6, so. Interior of the building, no. Oh, you're talking under the awning? Yeah, more than likely, because actually, most of the buildings on Route 6 encroach the state right-of-way.
so we have a motion to receive the communication, place on file, turn it to planning and zoning and in our building department too, to do whatever we need to do. So that's Alderman Waldorf. How about a second? Who seconded it? Alderman Radke? Okay, is there any further discussion? All in favor, signify by aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carried.
Finally,